Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Wishwell Farms. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, not a cloud in the sky, and it's dead calm. A perfect day to do some spraying. So I'm out here at my sweet corn patch. I think this is planting number 4. I'm going to be side dressing it today and also spraying weeds, post-emergent corn weeds. So this is the time of the year that weeds can get out of hand a little bit. I have sprayed this field once already, but after you get torrential rains and the corn is about 14 inches tall, you can see out here, about a foot. So yeah, it's definitely needs side dressed with nitrogen. But after heavy rains, sometimes the pre-emergent or weed killer that I have used right before planting or right after planting has kind of worn off or gotten washed away. I have some grass, some thistles. That's pretty much it. Just a few little broadleaves kind of getting out of hand in here, but this is the perfect time to kill them while they're still young. So in this sprayer here today, I am spraying 0.75 of an ounce of Impact with 1 gallon of MSO, methylated seed oil. It's like a crop oil type adjuvant, and that's per 100 gallons of spray solution. I'm using water as my carrier, 23 gallons to the acre, 1 pint of Atrex or atrazine, and I also threw in a grass herbicide because the fields I'm getting ready to head to next over there by the silos. Let's see, where's it at? Over there by the silos. I got about 4 acres over there where it's basically just grass, and I'm not sure if the Impact is going to be enough to completely eradicate it. So I added Primero at 0.75 of an ounce as well, and that'll help get control of that grass that's getting out of hand. So this is probably some of my ugliest corn ground right here. It's a rocky hill with all kinds of washouts, grass and thistles. I'm always fighting them right here. But the corn is absolutely gorgeous down there by the greenhouses. It's starting to tassel out, looks beautiful. But if I can keep these thistles at bay up here, I think this corn will do just fine. Currently working my way over to another sweet corn field to do some spraying, and I thought I'd walk out here into my brother's garlic patch to show you what it looks like. It's almost time to harvest. He's already pulled off the garlic scapes. It's almost like a little seed pod that starts sprouting out the top, and those have to be pulled off to be able to put the remaining energy of the plant down into the garlic bulb itself to probably increase its size. I'm not a garlic grower. That is my brother Joel's specialty. I just help him sell it at our many farmers markets around Columbus and in Marysville. So I'll turn you around here and let you see what it looks like. It's a little weedy, but it doesn't really matter. They're all going to be pulled and harvested and dried here soon. These little burnt tips, that's what it's supposed to look like. I was trying to find one with a scape. Here's a scape right here. Someone missed one. Kind of reminds me of an onion. It's like a little, I don't know what that is, almost like a little seed bulb growing off the top, but they just snap right off. I don't know, maybe they're supposed to snap off all the way down here. Yeah, I can see the other plants, they're kind of snapped off down lower on the plant. But these garlic scapes are delicious to grill up with your food. They're almost like a spicy garlic taste. Delicious. Spraying is going pretty good so far. I'm in a new field now, and I wanted to show you, some of the grass I'm dealing with. This is corn I'm going to be side dressing today with 28% nitrogen, only to right here. See all the weeds coming up, and here's another planting of corn. It's the next one after that, probably planting 5, I'm guessing. Planting 6 is on the other side of the field by my folks' house. Planting 7 is back there on that hill. And we only have like 4 more plantings left for the season. We got a big one next weekend. It's the Labor Day weekend planting. And it's always critical to get that one in on time, or you won't have a good sweet corn crop to sell for Labor Day weekend. The last big summer hurrah. We'll still sell a lot of corn after that. It's just that's the last big one. But you can see all the grass I'm dealing with out here. It's pretty thick, and I've lost a lot of corn here in the past, so I want to make sure I keep it under control. I just thought of something else I should mention. Many of you may be wondering, why does your ground look so weedy and rough. Why don't you plow it up and disc it and smooth it out and have a clean slate to plant on, so to speak. We are no-till farmers. We very rarely break out a disc or a cultivator, mainly just to fix ruts and rain washouts in our fields. We farm and believe in the no-till method. It's worked great for us for many, many years. We are in the highest point in Ohio. It's very hilly, very rocky, and when we get heavy rains, it can wash away the topsoil if everything is disked and plowed up. And we'll lose that into the waterways and then ultimately into the creeks and never see it again. So we're trying to maintain our topsoils by using the no-till method, and it saves a lot of labor, fuel expenses, and wear and tear on machinery. We don't believe tillage is really that necessary. There's lots of studies out there that show and prove that soil structure is actually better and more porous and more diversity with full of microbes and earthworms when the soil is left alone. It doesn't necessarily need to be plowed and disked, cultivated. Yes, it might look pretty, but it's not really necessary. And we get great yields for our area here in the Rocky Hills of Ohio just fine using the no-till method. So you might also be asking, why do I have to spray so many herbicides on my ground? Well, I like to have a clean patch of corn to pick in. If you're an organic grower or a grower who wants to grow sweet corn without chemicals, more power to you. I can't get good yields without using chemicals. I don't have the proper cultivation tools. I don't feel like driving up down the roads constantly cultivating my sweet corn. Chemicals are tools that, if used properly and correctly, are a great way to maintain a good clean crop and boost your yields. So that's what we're going to do. I have no intentions of growing organic sweet corn for a numerous amount of reasons. The main one is weeds. Second of all would be all of the worms, corn earworm and armyworm, a whole bunch of worms that attack sweet corn, especially getting near the end of the season. So we are always going to be conventional sweet corn growers. All finished spraying sweet corn, and I'm currently heading out of the field, and I wanted to hop down and show you the green beans that were completely yellow last week, a couple videos ago, that I thought were damaged from some Roundup that was sprayed when the beans were starting to bust through the soil surface, and then we had a heavy rain. But look at them now. They came out of it. They look beautiful. I'm pretty happy. I don't really see any yellowing at all. There's a few here and there that are still coming out of it, but for the most part, I'm pretty confident that these beans are going to yield just fine. All right, I'm back at the farm, got the sprayer unhooked. Now I'm going to back up to my nitrogen applicator, and we're going to apply 20 gallons to the acre of 28% to about 4 acres of sweet corn. So there's one thing about this John Deere 3020 that drives me crazy. And it's not really a tractor issue, it's an equipment issue. I have to change this drawbar back and forth like every day. See how it's in the lower position right now? It comes down lower. I gotta crawl underneath the tractor, push the pin up, pull the drawbar out, flip it over so it's higher, it'll be up here, and then slide it back in, put the pin back in. And I could remedy this issue if I would just change some of my equipment to all be in the upper position. My corn planter needs to be in the upper position. My nitrogen applicator, upper position. Transplanter, lower position. Bean harvester, lower position. Mulch layer, lower position. My chemical sprayer, lower position. And my insecticide, fungicide sprayer back there, upper position. So as you can see, it's about half and half. That's why I've never went through the process of changing all my equipment so it would work in the lower position or upper position. I've just dealt with it over the years, but it does get old. The older I get, the less and less I like crawling underneath that tractor and flipping that drawbar. not that bad, but it does get to be a pain in the butt doing it day in and day out. But as you can see now, it's in the upper position, probably 4 or 5 inches higher from where it was prior. So here's our two 28% liquid nitrogen tanks for on-farm storage, but we don't store nitrogen in there any longer for our 400 acres of field corn because we hire that job of applying the 28% to our corn out. So I use the one horizontal tank here, and I put a couple thousand gallons in it every year for my sweet corn and pumpkins, but I don't really grow pumpkins anymore. So just sweet corn. All right, I'm over here at my farm where the greenhouses are at, getting ready to apply this nitrogen. And I wanted to share with you real quick about how critical it is for heat management in a greenhouse. You can see I have these sides rolled up all the way. There's not another inch really that they can be rolled up. When the sun is directly above us during June and July, during the longest days of the year, it gets really hot in here. So as soon as the sun comes out in the morning, I roll these up before it gets all humid with condensation on the fruit. The transplant house pretty much just stays up all the time because I want those plants that are growing in there to kind of be hardened off as they're growing, so when I'm ready to transplant them out in the open field, they're ready to go. You can see on this side, I also got it rolled up. And this greenhouse gets hot quicker than like this one because this one has a ridge vent. It allows the heat to be released up from the top. And you can see the sides are up on it because they were just down a moment ago and they went back up. That one's fully automated. So that one never gets as hot, but I can feel the heat rolling out of here. Even though the sides are up and it's only 74 degrees, because we have this full sun today, pretty much, and it's directly above us, this greenhouse gets really warm. If these greenhouses get too hot inside, you start running the risk of lycopene not being produced properly in the tomatoes, which is the red pigment in a tomato. So that starts happening above 86 degrees. So as long as we're below 90, we're usually okay. But when we start getting 95, 98 degrees temperatures inside the greenhouses, I do notice the tomatoes don't quite get as red. You'll start seeing streaking on top of tomatoes, just a lighter orange color. And what it does is affect the saleability of the tomato, the marketability, because it doesn't look as pretty. People expect a nice, pretty, perfect looking red tomato. And when you get into 90s and higher in these greenhouses, that can cause some problems. I have a shade cloth, I think it's a 30% or 35% white shade cloth I used to put on top. It's a big pain in the butt, and I'm so busy doing other things when it's time to put that thing on, usually mid to late June, which is next week. I don't bother with it anymore. We will get a little bit of heat damage during July to some of the fruit in there. I probably should put that white shade cloth back on. I'm sure it would help with that problem, and I knew you could spray liquid shade on it too. This would be a good year to do that because I have new plastic to put on there. So maybe I will spray a white liquid shade on that greenhouse since I don't have to worry about how to get it off. I've never done it before. If you use a liquid shade of any kind on your greenhouses, let me know how you get it off. Does it rinse off on its own over time, or do you only use it when you're getting ready to replace the poly? If that's the case, then that would be great for that greenhouse since it is due to be replaced. This greenhouse is pretty small, but it doesn't heat up quite as bad, and I can roll the sides up a little higher. That one's no problem. And you can see a couple tomatoes starting to turn colors. This is our final tomato greenhouse, and they're gonna be ready to be picked next week for the first time. Grape house, I can usually cool it pretty good as well with the sides Now that greenhouse has a lot bigger vents in the front and 2 exhaust fans in the back, and it can really draw cool air through. So if it's cold out at all or cloudy, I'll just leave the sides down on that greenhouse, and the exhaust fans and the vents in the front can keep that greenhouse fairly cool. All right, I'm gonna hop on my tractor and get this 28% nitrogen applied to the sweet corn. It has been a very productive day so far. Got all my sweet corn sprayed and my 28% nitrogen side dressed. And I think after lunch, I'm going to try my hand at laying a few rows of plastic mulch. I have 3 partial rows that got blown up and ruined during the rainstorms last week. And I think it's finally dry enough to go out and relay that plastic. I don't know yet if I'm going to try to relay it where it blew up or if I'm going to move over next to it and just lay some new rows. Yet to be determined, but I think it is finally dry enough. So we'll have to move this wagon out of the way that has all my drip tape and plastic mulch on it so I can get to my plastic layer back there in the back. But first I got to pack a box truck for the Hilliard Farmers Market, which is just a little suburb of Columbus, Ohio. That one leaves at 2 o'clock, so we got to get that done first. But before all that, it's lunchtime. Let's go eat. Well, I had a nice lunch and I just finished packing the Hilliard truck. It's going to be heading down the road here in a few minutes. I'm back out here on my plastic where the storms destroyed the back half of these 3 rows right here. It's hard to tell. Whoa, and it's still a little muddy out. I just about bit it. These 3 rows, you know, the plastic's kind of blowing back over the bed right now, but you can see that I cut them and just let it flop and kind of reburied it right here at the end of each row that's still good, so it wouldn't continue to lift up. So what I have decided to do is to remove these 3 partial rows of plastic. I'm just gonna dispose of it, and I'm gonna cut the drip tape and pull the drip tape up as well. And then I'm gonna bring my scraper blade tractor down here and level these beds back out and kind of spread that dirt back over this area, and I'm going to relay the plastic and drip tape right on the existing rows. I think that's going to be the best way because it is nice and dry out here, so I think it's going to work fairly well. I have done this in the past. It doesn't lay quite as nice because I'm going to be gouging deeper down into some of the subsoil because it's not, you know, it's pretty hard packed now after all that rain, and it's like baking out here, so now it's like crusty hard dirt. But we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. My other option was to relay a couple beds over here in this other section. It looks dry, but down deep it is still really muddy. So I'm pretty sure it wouldn't lay that well yet. I could do it later in a week, but I just want to get this done, check it off my list of things to do, and move on to something else. This is proving to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. The buried edge on the one side that is still buried well is not coming up because that dirt is pretty crusty. Probably should have pulled it up a couple days ago. Either way, I'm still gonna continue pulling it up and removing as much as I can. If there's still a little buried edge under the ground that doesn't come up, no big deal. It is biodegradable. It'll eventually disappear. All right, all the blown up plastic and drip tape has been removed. Ready to go get my scraper tractor and see if we can smooth this out before trying to relay it. Now here's a little cultivator that would probably be perfect for leveling out those beds to relay, but I don't feel like moving this just to get to that because I don't have a forklift down here. I mean, I got a skid loader I could put forks on or hook it up. Let's go try the scraper tractor first. If that doesn't work, I'll come back and get that little cultivator. how the ground worked up. Got the mulch layer hooked up, ready to go. Let's go get the shot. All right, we got 2 rows laid, and it's actually going down halfway decent. I forgot to turn the camera on and show you. I still have one more here to do, so I'll try to film that one. Some of the beds aren't getting filled up completely, but I'm just happy that the shoulders are getting buried enough, because there's not a lot of loose dirt here. So we're gonna be battling weeds here all year unless I mix up a special load to spray just on this little 250-yard section. I'll probably just pull them by hand or spray them by hand. All right, here's our final row that we need to relay. I'm just dropping it down right at the end of the row, and I'm gonna tie these in a knot. We can splice it together later when we're hooking up our drip. You'll have to hold this while I drive away because it's gonna want to pull it. It's a little muddy and chunky in spots, but not too bad. This row is definitely the worst. It was closest to the river of water that was flowing right beside it. I think it went pretty well. Those 3 rows are repaired. We'll be battling the weeds there all season, but that's all right. I'm just glad it's all gonna be together where it's supposed to be. Got one more little partial row over here along the woods. Hey, what do you know? It looks like it's going down pretty good. There's just no loose dirt for Gavin to shovel up to bury the end with. You can see what we're working with here, not a lot of dirt. We just got our strawberry delivery. Look at those beauties. Oh man, they smell so good. 20 flats of strawberries, and we gotta be getting near the end. Probably just a few more days and it's gonna be over. Into the cooler they go. Well, it was another productive day on the farm, and I think I'm gonna wrap it up early tonight and go out and enjoy dinner with my wife. So this is where we're going to end today's video, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you all again real soon down the farm.